Let's bring in New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney and Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. Thank you both. I appreciate it. Here's the thing. I don't understand this. Is this, I'll start with Claudia. Is this about Ukraine or is this about the border? Because I think more Americans would like to close the border than they would give more money to Ukraine. But you guys tell me. Go ahead, Claudia. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I think it's 100% about the border. The American people think it's about the border. 73% of all parties polled think it's the number one issue is the border, crime, and what it's causing. You know, the violence at the border, the breaching our sovereignty, and having all these people come across the border. The number one issue and job of the federal government, and specifically the executive branch, is border security and national defense. We have people coming across the border, and you and I have talked about this, Larry. 85% of the people that are on the terror watch list are coming across the northern border. Our customs and border agents have been displaced to the southern border. The Democrats are obsessed with Ukraine. We, as the Republicans and the Republican conference, are obsessed with securing our border because it's not only humanitarian, it's an economic crisis for our taxpayers.
And, you know, Beth, I mean, I think H.R. 2 is a pretty darn good bill, and it covers a lot of important ground. But the White House is insulting the House. Let me just play what the press secretary said yesterday. You probably heard this, but I'm going to play some sound. Hang on a second, please.
He's not the only congressperson in the room today. He's not. He's not the only person that's going to be in the room. There'll be other congressional members. The president has been really clear. He wants to talk about Ukraine, the urgency of making sure we continue that assistance to Ukraine, what that means, not just for the broader world national security, but also for us. And so Speaker Johnson is not going to be the only person in the room.
I mean, insulting the Speaker of the House, and then saying, as Claudia just said, that basically this is about Ukraine funding. It's not about closing the border. I mean, that is just cheap shot, offensive. That's no way to do a deal.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. No, we have had wins in Ukraine. I mean, for example, we have been able to contain the expansion of Russia through Ukraine. You've seen 80% of the equipment that was originally brought into Ukraine has been incapacitated or destroyed. You also haven't seen that conflict expanded beyond any other NATO countries. Those are wins. But where we do see losses is in the Middle East. We see what's going on between Hamas in its attack on the Israeli people. We see what's happening with our Houthis that are going after our Navy ships that are destroying shipyards and shipping channels. We see that happening right now. The Biden administration isn't doing anything with that, but you're right. We are absolutely in a wartime scenario down at our border. We've had 100,000 people who have been killed as a result of fentanyl coming in illegally. You've got countless different terrorist cells that are now operating in our country as a direct result of what is happening at the border, simply because the Biden administration refuses to enforce our laws. If we wanted to have control of our border, we could do it tomorrow if the agencies were allowed to do their job, which the administration is standing between.
But can I just pick up on that, do it tomorrow, Claudia? You know, Trump's success with catch and deport, with remain in Mexico, with Title 42, they were all executive orders, Beth. All executive orders, Claudia. Remember that. Now, the wall required appropriations. Okay, but the other stuff, I mean, while you're waiting on your asylum decision, you remain in Mexico. All right, before you come in, you have to pass a physical, whether it's COVID or something else. These are executive orders. If Joe Biden were serious about closing the border, Claudia, he could close the border.
Yeah, well, Larry, first of all, you heard the speaker say there are over 64 provisions, either executive orders or acts by the Department of Homeland Security under this administration that have caused the catastrophe at the border, as the speaker defined it. They have created this problem. All they have to do is reverse those. I mean, obviously, it's going to take some time to clean up the mess. But right now, we can stop this huge number of people coming through and try to help the taxpayers by sending many of these people back. I want to tell you, Larry, you know, you're from the New York area. When I hear New York Democrats talking about deporting illegal immigrants, we have hit pay dirt with the Democrats, and you know that, because you never hear that before.
You know, we just talked to Matt Whitaker, former Attorney General, who's heavily into this issue with President Trump. And there's a poll out that shows 2/3 of Americans now favor deportation of those who have come in illegally. That's a big number. It may not be such an easy thing to do, but that's what folks want. So you're exactly right, Claudia. Beth, what's going to happen here? I mean, while the clock is ticking and the arguments continue, and the president, I mean, he doesn't want to give in. He doesn't want to close the border. Meanwhile, more and more illegals are going to come in. We don't know what the January numbers are, but they're not going to be great.
No. I mean, what you saw in December was over 200,000 people have entered our country illegally. We keep hitting records every single month. You've had almost 10 million people right now that have come into our country illegally since Biden's taken office. And the bill that the Senate is working on is not helpful. You know, what they're talking about is 5,000 people illegally crossing per day, and that is basically going to normalize the numbers that we see. That'd be nearly 2 million people entering our country illegally. Now, you're right. What we should be doing is turning them away at the border. What the Senate the Democrats want to do right now is offer them incentives to come here by giving them jobs. We absolutely cannot do that. So what are we going to do? As far as what I think we're going to do in the House is hold strong. Republicans have come up with a bill, H.R. 2, that has a number of provisions that would force the administration, force the agencies to do their job, whether or not that's supporting local law enforcement, whether that's looking at ending the catch and release program, building the wall, supporting our Customs and Border Patrol, not by asking for additional monies to be able to funnel more people here more efficiently, as they call it, faster into our country, but by actually turning them away. 80 to 90% of asylum seekers don't qualify.
Right.
So why are we sending them on planes all across our country for court dates 5 to 7 years in the future that we know they're probably not going to go to? We need to stop those ridiculous programs.
Claudia Tenney, I want to give you the last word because some of the Fox analysis of the issues in Iowa showed that illegal immigration and the open border has become the #1 issue in that presidential caucus. And Claudia, I'm just thinking out loud, get your take on it. You know what? This could be the #1 issue in the entire election. I think it gives Donald Trump a big leg up because it's a signature issue. But I think it shows how the country is in full revolt. And the Biden White House and Biden, they just don't get it.
I agree with you, and that's why Trump won so decisively. Remember, in 2016, he was the first person to come out and actually stand for the border, and it was because he decided and he took a position as a candidate that citizenship in this country has value, and the Democrats are undermining it. This policy by the Biden administration undermines that whole notion of citizenship, self-governance, believing in our Constitution and freedom, and I think a lot of people, especially, it's interesting, new immigrants really embrace this type of, they
Right.
came here for a reason.
Right.
And so I think that's why Trump even resonates with them. They may not love his personality, but boy, do they like the policies. And it's deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say, because I think that's going to happen again in this election of 2024. And you're going to see President Trump get elected again on the same issue, oddly enough, that he got elected on in 2016.
You know, so it goes. I want to say, gentlewomen, you're wonderful to come on. I know you had to vote today. You're both terrific. Claudia Tenney, old friend. Beth Van Duyne, thank you very, very much for helping out on the show. We appreciate it.